Many parents think that giving an allowance is enough. But what way would you approach allowance and chores for, like, we talked about the earlier ages, but when you get a little bit older, how do you really approach the best way to give an allowance and chores?
Well, first of all, if you just keep giving your kids money, you are supporting the entitlement program. I want something, I get it. So, what I do for the older ones, first of all, I put them on an allowance. They still have to do stuff. By the time they're 12 years old, 13 years old, they should be doing little jobs outside the home,
Right.
which means, raking leaves, cleaning up, doing pool, whatever that is, with neighbors so that you still have them in a controlled environment, but they're still earning money.
Right.
Still have them learn to budget though.
Right. Okay. So we're going to talk about budgeting in a minute, but I'm not sure. Are you a TikTok person? Do you watch these
Yeah.
like memes on TikTok? Okay. So I get these things all the time that I see, or my daughter forwards them to me of like, you know, the mom saying, like, I'm trying to create, a child that understands money. But then you see the kid sipping out of her Stanley Cup, going into Sephora, and it's the mom saying, "Please pray for my child. I've asked them to do the dishes tonight." And it's like the worst thing you've ever asked them to do. This seems to resonate with people because it's memes that everyone is repeating. So, how do we, first of all, in this day and age with these kids that are going through all this stuff, and it seems to be so common that there is no value associated with money, or your parents will just buy you something, or if it's the latest fad, you have to have it no matter what you do, if you do things wrong or right. How do you sort of, I guess you're talking to the parents first. How do you have a conversation with the adults to say, okay, this is what we have to do to create some financial responsibility in yourself as the adult, and then in that trickling down to your child at any age?
Well, first of all, when you grew up, did you have what I would call a grunt job, a regular job, and earn some money?
Yeah, I mean, I got my first job, I would say. Well, in my building, I was a dog walker, and they would pay me,
Okay.
$5, $10, whatever it was, to go
And
walk.
did you
But I
say,
think I think as a kid, you almost thought it was fun. You wanted a job.
well, you do want a job because you want that empowerment to earn your own money and make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And when I ask parents if you had a job when you grew up, most of them say yes, number
Mhm.
one. Number two, I ask them what they saved their money for the first thing they bought.
Hmm.
And they will tell me.
And what do they mostly say? I'm trying to remember
Well, I
what
bought a
I.
bicycle, I bought a Barbie, I bought a Walkman, this is before buying an iPhone. And they took care of it. It meant a lot. When you just give somebody something and they are suffering from overabundance, nothing means anything.
You're right.
It just doesn't mean anything. So,
Oh, I remember now. I used to get like stars, and I don't think I was paid in dollars. I was paid in like gummy bears for playing the piano, which to me was like the worst thing ever, having to practice my piano and do the little chores and feed the dog. And I can't really remember the equation of money that I had, but I knew that made it possible for me to buy a Cabbage Patch doll. And at that time, that was the biggest deal. Do you remember those?
of course, Um, I remember Cabbage Patch, and yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That you're building like, wow, I did this. I did an accomplishment. I did something. Because remember, we track our kids. It's not the same world that I grew up in.
Mhm.
And we track these kids. We watch these kids. And of course, we had peer pressure when I grew up. I mean, we were advertised to on TV. The kids are drinking from a fire hose today in terms of peer pressure.
Right.
But what you want them to do is have that self-esteem. I can earn money. I can make my own decisions. I can buy something that I want. And if they're
Right.
just handed it, it has no value after a while.
Right. I agree with that. How would you say that people can incorporate different attainable things to do if there isn't that much money to give? There are people struggling with money. There's a lot of single parents. They don't have, the extra dollars and cents to be giving away as an allowance. Can you give us ideas of other
Sure.
tips to get your child financially, astute without necessarily handing them dollars?
Well, what you can do with kids if you really can't afford it, that you can put them on an allowance that, in essence, here's the amount of money that I'll give you for clothing this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
You can do work and add to that. I want you to write out a list of what you think you need and put a price next to it. And then as a parent, go through it. And if
Right.
you have a lot of money, the kids may think, yeah, I need, 3 pairs of Versace jeans. Well, you actually don't. But I will pay this amount. And if you want to do extra work, you can go ahead and buy something that costs more. And now
Right.
all of a sudden the kid is invested in it. And
Right.
again, regardless of the amount of money you have.
Well, that's good. That's very good sentiment. Here's the other thing. In this day and age where cash really isn't exchanged anymore, I mean, these kids have their green cards. They have their, or whatever those little things are called that are credit cards for children.
Right.
They have Apple Pay. They have all these things. So they don't necessarily know what even goes into a dollar. How would you say people can get around that so they know the value of what they're spending on these digital cards?
In the very beginning, when the kids are little, I actually want parents to pay them in actual cash so that the kid understands when we go to the bank, those little green things get translated into something that's digital. And then you show them the bank account. This is real money. If you just start them on a digital basis, it's another game to them.
Hmm.
It's a video game. It's we're winning stars and I'm buying moons, and it doesn't mean anything to them. So I want you to start having them understand that this fiat currency turns into digital currency, which turns into my buying power. And it can be loaded on a debit card. And by the way, with a debit card, and Greenlight is one of the cards. I'm an advisor to Greenlight,
Right.
going back to the beginning when they started. But the deal with Greenlight is when you're out of money, you're out of money. So you're teaching them the concept of finite.
Hmm. The nice thing about that card too is it offers you a plan to sort of set some money aside so they understand the value of saving. Can you also, explain why that's valuable? And like we were talking about earlier, where you had your son's jars set aside for a bigger thing, not just the weekly stuff or the fun stuff that they're trying to get now.
Exactly. What I do is I teach them everything from giving to charity and instant gratification through to saving for things that they want, but also long-term savings.
Hmm.
Now, rightfully so, you can say, Neil, a 3-year-old does not understand the concept of long-term savings. You're right. A 10-year-old doesn't understand the concept of long-term savings. Well, the adults in America don't understand the concept of long-term savings.
Hmm.
So if you start that habit when they're young to have them understand, you are going to have to put some money away. And then
Right.
as they get older, they'll understand. Your 13-year-old isn't going to think about retirement.
No.
She may think about saving for a car.